Welcome back everyone, I'm Slave to the Games, and this is part 6 of the Bloodlines 2 full in-depth explanation series. From here on out, I will be going over all clans I can find as in-depth as possible. Literally almost all, if not all information from this was found on the White Wolf Wikia fandom, and I greatly appreciate all the work that was put into it so that I could bring these videos to you. As a disclaimer, most if not all of this will be a word-for-word explanation from said fandom, so if you want to read it yourself, you can with the link below. For those of you who would rather listen to it, stick around. If anything here is wrong or something is missing, feel free to leave a comment below with a link proving said fact or correction. Thank you all for stopping by, and let's dive right in with the first clan we will be going over, the BRUJAH. The BRUJAH are infamous for ignoring the traditions of the Embrace, which are but not limited to 6 traditions, which are the Masquerade, where you hide the existence of vampires, Domain, a kindred's hunting ground is his or her own territory, and he rules it or she rules it absolutely. Progeny, they sire only with permission of one's elders. Accounting, until children are released, their actions are the responsibility of their sire. Hospitality, honor the domains of others and present oneself to the ruler of any domain you visit. And finally, destruction. The right to kill kindred is reserved for the elder of a community. Only an elder may call a blood hunt. They consequently embrace whomever they feel like, whenever they feel like it. BRUJAH are stereotypically the source for most KDF, otherwise known as clanless vampires, because they are presumed to neglect training their childer. The BRUJAH are the largest clan in Los Angeles as well. The Anarchs owe their freedom in Los Angeles to the BRUJAH. They have proven themselves to be a force to be reckoned with in the city, and a threat to the Ventru. 2 conventions the clan does support universally are the Rant and the Rave. Rants are just that, informal meetings of BRUJAH and other insurgents, kindred, and kind, at which anyone who can scream loudly enough can have their opinions heard. Raves, named after the all-night techno dance parties started in England, are social gatherings in the guise of huge-scale musical or entertainment events. One usually leads to another, and clues to the locations of the events are often hidden in the media of the gathering in progress. As a clan, the BRUJAH have next to no organization. Outside of the clan, the BRUJAH adore building structures, and then other BRUJAHs adore tearing them down. Among modern BRUJAH, the primary structure is the division between the iconoclast and idealist factions of society. The iconoclasts are rebels and almost uniformly young BRUJAH. They fulfill the clan's stereotypical image as mad, bad, and dangerous to know. In contrast to iconoclasts, idealists are the intellectuals and theorists of the clan. They are usually elders of Ankle, and the elders are idealists simply because their habits have not changed since their embrace. Little consistent knowledge is known about the BRUJAH antediluvian because the stories may confuse 2 individuals. The original founder of the BRUJAH, named as Elias in one account and as Trolley the Elder in another, and his childer and diablerist, Trolley. According to most records, BRUJAH was a callous and fiercely logical creature. Dispassionate in the extreme, the antediluvian sired a clan of equally dispassionate childer. Among these, however, was a less controlled whelp, Trolley the Rebel. What events caused the embrace of Trolley are unknown, but clan history holds that Trolley diablerized her sire and claimed the clan as her own. A small bloodline, the true BRUJAH, claimed descent from BRUJAH and hold this grievance close in the final nights. And I do have to apologize if I mispronounce her name wrong, guys, but we are gonna move on. Following the death of BRUJAH in unrecorded history, the clan BRUJAH lived among the mortals, letting themselves revere as kings and gods, trying to recreate the glory of the second city and the harmony between the children of Seth and the childer of Cain. The first place that became an experiment of the BRUJAH was Greece, specifically Athens. Learning from discussing their ideals with the Athenian orators and philosophers, the BRUJAH found countless and petty to improve society. The BRUJAH allowed other Cainites to enter their city and to share Athens' glory. Conflict with Spartan Ventru led to discord in the First BRUJAH War. After that, many of the Praticandi, the rulers of the clan, left Greece, convinced that the experiment had failed and that they should start again elsewhere. Many of the Praticandi seized the moment and followed Trolley's example, diablerizing their sires to leave no witnesses or patrons to what they regarded as a failure. The BRUJAH of old followed the Olympian ideal, also known as entelechy, which predated even Carthage. The Olympian ideal contained the perfection of both body and mind, and as a result, most of the ancient BRUJAH steeled and trained their bodies without relent and were well educated in both metaphysical and scientific themes. The ancient BRUJAH philosopher, Heraclitus, placed fire as the ideal that kept the world in motion and enabled perfection even within the stasis that filled the greater universe. As seasons turned and life followed death, perfection was reached. Pericles also postulated that the rage and the passion of the Bruja was the result of this fire, and that it was the duty of the clan to enable change and, therefore, perfection. Although his works have been mostly forgotten by the modern rabble, and Bruja argued even back then over the exact meaning of his teachings, certain elders and the adherents of the path of entelechy, which follows the ancient Bruja ideals, still keep on to the Olympic ideal. All that a Bruja does, they do with passion. That is both their curse as well as their blessing. Bruja adopt passions and causes, which they support with volume and vitriol. Some Bruja follow charismatic members of their clan, while others prefer stances of blatant, defiant individualism. Many Bruja are glad to have an opportunity to speak their minds, then indulge in a bit of destruction afterward to illustrate their points. As divided as the clan is, all work against each other in some way. And even when some rivalries within are more embittered than any other clan, they still keep together. If any kindred not of their blood would oppose a Bruja, they would face the wrath of the whole clan, as even idealists would defend iconoclasts in front of the prince, and each iconoclast is more than ready to beat someone up who humiliated a clan member within Elysium. Carthage fell during the Third Punic War in 146 BCE, when Scipio Amalinius, aided by the Malkavians and Ventru of Rome, crushed the shell of a city hollowed out by two previous wars. The earth was salted, preventing those kindred who had melded with the earth from rising. The land was plowed, and the Bruja experiment ended. The Renaissance proved to be one of the turning points in the history of the clan, when the division between the various ideological strains within the clan exploded in the heavy infighting that strained them today. The cultural explosion within Europe resulted in ecclesiastical and civic strife that the Bruja were only too willing to follow. The Soviet Union was another, arguably more daring and ultimately more frightening experiment. In the early 20th century, the Bruja pitched in with the Soviet Revolution, eventually forming a separate council which managed the entire USSR vampiric affairs. This Bruja council was destroyed overnight, however, when Baba Yaga rose from torpor and mystically separated Russia from the rest of the world. Only with the little grandmother's death at the hands of a Niktuku have vampires been able to cross the Shadow Current and survey the ruins of vampiric Russia. Many Bruja during this time were fierce supporters of various ideas like Marxism, collectivism, syndicalism, and Darwinism, and engaged in various revolutionary groups to topple the rising pauperization during the Industrial Revolution. In the final nights, the Bruja are the clan of rebels. The ancient traditions of the clan are all but forgotten, with a few reluctant throwbacks like Theo Bell and undying artifacts like Critias to remember the clan's history and tradition. During the Victorian Age, the clan was divided in those few who lived true to their legacy as the learned clan, and those bulk who were mere troublemakers and criminals in the eyes of their sect, as many neonates rebelled against the oppressive and stagnant politic of the Camarilla. The closeness of the clan to mortal passions brought forth the best and the worst of the age within the clan. Many Brujas started to regard themselves as the proletariat of vampiric society, and wanted to change this through revolution. For the Bruja, the 20th century is marked by a sequence of failed projects. Two daring projects defined Bruja culture throughout the final nights: the Anarch Free State and the Soviet Union. In the first case, California was turned into a new kindred society, led by the Bruja Jeremy McNeil. The AFS was almost a separate sect for the kindred for nearly 5 decades. However, under the weight of the Camarilla influence, the invasion of the Cajun, and the eventual betrayal of Brujas such as Tara of San Diego, the Free State largely collapsed. During the Dark Ages, the Bruja were considered part of the High Clans, a clan of warrior scholars noted for their fierce devotion to radical philosophies. The Bruja viewed themselves as the practitioners of a Greek philosophy of total mental and physical discipline, commonly called entelechy, and would often train their neonates in combat and the classics with equal discipline. Bruja of the Dark Ages were associated primarily with politics, especially in Greece. As I've said, their historical association with Carthage gave them a dim view of Rome and her heirs. The clan's next major moment is also its greatest moment. The Bruja built or co-opted a Phoenician colony, Carthage, for another grand experiment. The Bruja say that Carthage was a utopia, a city where kindred and kind lived in harmony and where justice reigned. Other clans in history tell the story somewhat differently. The Carthaginians were cowed by their gods, offering their children to the flames of Moloch, and apparently if the blood of sacrifices should flow down the gullet of a Methuselah, Moloch did not mind. Exactly what happened in Carthage is dependent on who speaks of it. The Bruja claims paradise. The other clans claim the presence of the Bali and human sacrifice. Some of those who were present in Carthage admit and acknowledge the truth. In recent nights, the Bruja and Teacher Boo experienced an upsurge in membership, thanks to the reckless embrace tactics they have, and consider themselves as one of the main pillars of the sect. The Third Sabbath Civil War and the Ponder movement were backed by Bruja and Teacher Boo, who hoped to use the young and experienced caitiff as a way to break the traditional Lasombratism hegemony of the sect. The Bruja had 2 clan variants as well as several bloodlines. The Sabbath-aligned Bruja and Teacher Boo are perhaps the ultimate degeneration of the Bruja and potentially what they may become. Violent to the extreme, they often constitute the bulk of the Sabbath's cannon fodder and frontline fighters, whether in battle or debate. The Bruja and Teacher Boo were one of the first clan to rebel against the Elders during the Anarch Revolt and see themselves as its founders, despite its insistence from the sides of the Lasombra and Tizmizi. Again, sorry if I mispronounced that. Bruja of the Islamic faith were known as, and sorry if I mispronounced this, but the Beit Mishakis, and many were the childer of the Carthage kindred. They spread throughout North Africa in particular, with the younger ones declaring jihad and looking to punish the Roman kindred who had destroyed the Great Experiment. It seemed to work. Most, if not all of the Ventru were pushed from the Islamic lands and spent most of the Dark Ages trying to regain a foothold there. Other Mashakisans sought to use Islamic teachings to reconstruct their Great Experiment. And that's it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If there's anything I missed at all or you feel like something needs to be corrected, please, as I mentioned in the beginning, put a comment below with a link showcasing the actual correction so that I know for a fact it is a fact. And then also, thank you guys for stopping by. I really am enjoying making these videos for you. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm going to be making more. As I said, one for every single clan that is in the White Wolf fandom right now, because I don't know how many of these clans might show up, because we were promised more clans in future DLC that will be coming out. So I just wanted to go over all of them. So yeah, there will be a lot of parts of this. I hope this covered a lot of information. If there's something in this that you heard that you want to know a little bit more about, please, like I said before, comment. Without further ado, I'm gonna head out. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and then maybe join the Discord below so you can talk to me off hours or share more information as well without going through YouTube, though either is up to you. And then maybe, just maybe, becoming a Patreon member. My goal is to get to 50 of them by the end of the year, as well as get to 1,000 subscribers, which I only have 50 left, so that I can finally apply for YouTube partnership. Thank you guys for stopping by once again, and I'm signing off.